Okay, thank you. Heilige Rabbi Rosa for inviting me. Did me a big mitzvah. Thank you, Dover Dulamish. Thank you, Mimi. Okay, forget for 1 minute what you were learning and just start over. You know, what is the biggest problem in the world? The biggest problem in the world is how do we get together, God and the world? How do we get the Torah and the world together? Right? Heavy stuff. Okay, imagine, I'll tell you as an example without being personal, right? Okay, don't take it the wrong way, so I'm telling you, we come Ramdes Kati, you learn from people, right? Okay, there's this Chassidish young man, right? He is 17, 18 years old. As far as Chassidish Yid, so what do? You have a friend that's also Chassidish Yid, right? He has a daughter, so what's the problem, right? He is a man, she is a woman, that's it. You don't need anything more than that. Okay, it's a bad scene. It's not much a bad scene. I remember he spoke to me a lot of times, right? So he says to me, if I don't talk to her about food, then there's no response. Heartbreaking, right? So it's not her fault either, right? Because she grew up there and all they told me, you have to be now to put on diapers and to make blintzes. And she's a graduate, right? So anyway, one day, one way or the other, he had to come to New York, right? So I walk with him on the street late at night, and I see Mamish, like, for the first time he discovers the world, right? He was dreaming about the world. Mamish, he discovers New York, right? What's going on there, right? And let's say on a very simple level, there's so many beautiful women in New York on the streets, right? And he's walking around and thinking, I have this yente at home, right? What am I doing, right? What am I doing, right? It's completely broken. So he says to me, I think I'm going to get a divorce. And he said, I'll tell you what, you think your wife doesn't dream about the world? She also dreams about the world, right? And she thinks she's stuck with you. She's stuck with you, right? I would say to you, for half a year, give her a chance, right? Take her also to New York, or send her somewhere to learn, do something for her, and talk to her straight. Anyway, obviously it didn't happen. And he went to a big Rebbe. And the Rebbe told him a gewalt. That Mamish, from now on, there's no other way. From now on, you have to, Mamish, really guard your eyes. Mamish, you're not permitted to look at any other woman. Simple as it is. Mamish, like, get yourself heavy sunglasses, you walk on the street, pay someone to walk with you, How does it sound to you? You know what that means? That means that if you want to serve God, you have to be half dead, right? Half dead. You have to cut yourself off. We were always learning it. I'm sure you have the same feeling. Dovidl and Rab Miki. Why do so many kids want to do tshuva? And why do we retain, just a fraction? It's a joke, right? Everybody talks about the big tshuva movement. We could. As far as I'm concerned, we retained maybe 3%. 3%. Why did we only keep 3%? Because we told them, if you want to be a Yid, you want to be frum, you have to cut yourself into pieces. That's it. You know. Imagine if someone has mamish a special talent, doesn't go, right? Unless, I had good rebbes, you know, so I know it's nonsense. You know, when I began singing, how many big rebbes, I'm talking about the real rebbes now, the half-baked rebbes, you know, would call me and they say, mamish, you have to burn the guitar together with all the chumetz, you know, and everything, right? So, what are we supposed to do, right? Here's a Gewalt world, right? Here we have the Sorah Mamor, right? The 10 sayings, and you know what hurts me so much? Because deep inside, I know that God created the guitar, right? And deep inside, I know God, let's say, gave me the talent. I didn't get it from Brother Satan, right? I got it straight from God. So why should, that means I'm cutting out a piece of God, right? Or going back to this person's wife, right? What's her problem? Her problem is that she was taught, if you want to be a frum, you have to make yourself as ugly as possible. You have to make yourself as ugly as possible. And the more you look like the biggest schlep in the world. I once wrote in one of my Kaviyuch magazines, I said, you know, according to that shitta, right, was anybody more frum than Sorah, our Holy Mother Sorah, right? So should have mamish a shefer from ballpark, right? And dressed with sneers, according to ballpark. And Pharaoh sees her, he's not going to move an inch, right? He sees his scrap pieces. What are you going to do with her, right? I mean, she is 89 years old. And the Melech keels over. And you know how beautiful those women were in those days? Plishtim Gewalt, right? She must have been awesomely beautiful and an elegant woman, right? So it can't be, right? Esther, right? Mrs. Mordechai, right? I mean, can any of those Rebbetzin be queen over 120? She was residing, she was the queen of the world, right? So obviously it's wrong, right? So how do you do it together? So, I'm just telling you this. This is what I want to learn for a few days from wherever we can find a little hint. But right now, the first of all is, obviously, the first thing is we have to be free. A free person is, you see what it is? Rabbi says the world is beautiful, but the moment you are a slave of it, it becomes ugly. You see, those Rebbes are a little bit right. You have to cut out the world. But not cut out the world, you have to cut out your being a slave to it, right? Cut out being a slave to it, right? I'm free, right? If I'm free, that's 100% good. Okay, I'm learning from inside now. What is not being a slave? Being a slave means that I am mamish, for real, I'm absolute free. I'm absolute free. He says, we were learning it all the time. You see, when God took us out of Egypt, He didn't only, we got free from Egypt. We didn't get free from. See, the words can only fathom free from, right? For us, it's not freedom from. Freedom. Period. You know how much free we are? That means, God forbid, a Yid can sit in Auschwitz and Mamish has nothing to eat, and God forbid tomorrow he can be taken to the gas chambers, but he's sitting there and he's a free person. He is a free person. Remember, we're learning it 1,000 times. The Rabbi Shlomo, on his way to Siberia, they managed to have a little stage at the train station, and before the KGB had a chance, the Rebbe's the Rebbe, so they didn't just push him in the train. They had, officially, they couldn't make him with a bad name, so the police were walking in civilian, right? And before they had a chance to grab him, the Rebbe was on the stage, and he says, only my feet go to Siberia, but not my neshama. My neshama is free. Gives so much koyach to thousands of Yidden, right? See what it is. You know what the deepest depths of us Yidden is? The Rambam says, to believe in Mashiach every minute doesn't mean that any minute, any given moment, God has compassion in sending the Mashiach. To believe in Mashiach means that any given moment we can bring him, because we are bringing him. You see, we have a business with God. God created the world, and we have to bring Mashiach. And the saddest thing in the world is, in a certain deep way, God doesn't mingle in our business. Remember what Rabbi Yisrael said to a Yid. He says, who gave you the right to mingle in God's business? And the Yid didn't know what he meant. He says, don't you know? Yiddishkeit, Yerushalayim, that's your business. To give you parnasa is God's business, right? He wants us to give us parnasa. And he says, so you take away God's business, you worry about parnasa, and you want God to take care of your Yiddishkeit. Who gave you the right? So the thing like this. The Ram says, I have to believe that any moment we Yidden can bring Mashiach. So imagine on Yom Kippur, I see there's a Yidele, he's driving in a car, he stops in front of a doggy diner, comes out with his wife and 7 children, and they go in to have a little lunch. So what do I say to myself? Really forget it. This Yidele cannot bring Mashiach. You're 100% wrong. Because when God gave us freedom, I can sit on Yom Kippur and eat a doggy diner, and 2 seconds later I can be as holy as Baal Shem. I'm completely free. I'm always free. That means there is nothing in the world, and in a very, very deep way, even the Torah doesn't make me a slave. I cannot say because yesterday I did something against the Torah, so now the Torah makes me a slave to my Avera. The Torah doesn't make you a slave. That's the whole thing. The Torah tells you what to do. But when you didn't do it, it doesn't take away your freedom. It's not like in the world, I stole, God forbid, I'm a slave now to my sin and have to go to prison. That means my mistakes make me into a slave. Nothing makes me into a slave. Nothing in the world. I remember one time in the good old days in the House of Love and Prayer, one boy came in, it was similar to the She'eva, was Rav Nachman's yahrzeit, and I was talking to the Chevra, said to them, you know something? Every second you have choice to be Yaakov Avinu or to be Esav. And he was mamash really like a little bit heavy, or light. And you out, you start yelling, I want to be like Yaakov, so. So the first thing he says, where do we have this freedom? where do we have this awesome freedom, inside freedom, that mamish, I'm completely free. You know what means real freedom? Freedom means that I'm always face to face with God. Mamish face to face with God. Because there's only one real free agent in the world, that's God, right? That's completely free. God bless you. And if I'm standing mamish face to face with God, I'm free. We'll come to it in a second. What is redemption? Real redemption is to be so much face to face with God that God can shine all the freedom into you. Mamish, right? Before we damish want to ask her, I say, Bochat Hashem, Goal Yisrael, the Redeemer of Israel. The Gemara says, you have to, we learn in the second year, Ge'ula L'Tfilah. Because it's the same thing. What is damning? Let's put it this way, I'll make it in a very simple way. My wife gives me soup, right? And last night we had an argument. We had a big fight. Right? So what's my relationship to her right this minute? Right now I'm a slave to yesterday's fight. Right? So I cannot even look at her in the face. Because or I'm angry with her or I feel ashamed. So I'm receiving from her the soup, but I cannot receive all the things she wants to give me, right? Remember we were learning, Rabbi Nachman says, when you eat soup on Shabbos, are you eating the soup or are you eating Shabbos, right? Remember the Torah, by Shabbos says, Ichlu hayom. The way the word translates means, Ichlu hayom, eat today. But Rabbi Nachman says, Ichlu hayom, eat the day. You got to eat Shabbos. Okay, mamish being face to face with somebody. And you see what it is? If we wouldn't have Pesach, we would receive the Torah and we wouldn't receive it from God. What's Mount Sinai all about? Mount Sinai is that I'm receiving God's will. God tells me what He wants me to do. But it has to be face to face with God. In Pesach, I'm receiving this freedom. But freedom means I'm not a slave to anything. I'm an absolute free agent. The Kodesh of the Maggid says, let's put it this way in this world terms. I'm working for Western Union. Can I tell them this telegram should go to the Nancy Street, this go to Jerusalem? Say, you're not supposed to decide. You're a messenger. Wherever we send you, that's where you have to go, right? He says, the problem is you always want to tell God where to send the telegram. You have to go where God sends you, right? You have to be mamish free completely. Mamish free. And you know what the real free person is? That, you have to be free to make mistakes also. You have to be completely free, right? Remember the Ishmael that talks so much about sometimes Avera Lishma. There are times when God wants you to make a mistake. Why can't you stomach that? Where does it say you have to be as holy as a Baal Shem? God has a Baal Shem. God needs you. You know what is? Remember, this is so deep. On Pesach night, I'm not standing before God and saying, I'm so bad. How would it sound to you, Mamash, before I say Kaddish Ochaz? I say, I want to do a little video, and I start crashing and crying. Stupid, man. It's not the time. Pesach is Mamash. I'm completely free. And you know what it is? First I say Kaddish. I'm ready to be the holiest. And the Kodesh of the Maggid says, Yachatz. I said, Kabosh, I'm so free, I'm even ready to be broken for you. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. There's a whole long story. One of the rabbis, which never happened to us, so I don't wish on anybody. You know, in those good days in Russia, Poland, it didn't take much to put a Jew in prison. Nevertheless, he didn't do anything. The police just needed a scapegoat. They took him. And he sent a acquittal to this big rabbi. He says, what am I doing in prison? So he sent him back. God needs you there for a few days. You come out. And there, he was there for a few days until they realized it was a mistake. But while he was there, he saved a Yid from committing suicide. They were right. But where should you need me in prison? I'm going there. Wherever you need me to go, right? That means I'm not anything in the world. So this is because if you are a slave somewhere, then you cannot stand before God in Mamish Daven. This is so beautiful. It says, if you are not free, you know, like Mamish. Have you ever seen, sometimes you meet people, right? It's so interesting, you know, I thought I should write a book about it, because I see so many new people, right? Especially before cancer, I was walking around saying hello to people. How many people look me straight in the eyes? Maybe 20%. 30%. And listen, you're coming to my concert, right? And Mamish, you came for me in a certain way. So why don't you say hello to me like a mensch? Looking away. They can't stay, I don't know why, right? Without even getting around from the depths of it. Have you ever seen little kids? Never. When you say hello to them, how many of them, Mamish, look at you straight? Because they are taught by their parents. Their parents, Mamish, enslaved them so much. Tell you something awesome. You remember by the Porah Duma, when they wanted to buy from this non-Jewish brother, and he knew that the Porah Duma, you're not permitted to use the red heifer if someone put a yoke on it. So he thought, I'm going to play a trick on the Yidden. I'll get the money from them, and then they will see, they'll fool God, right? So the Chacham say, wait, before we give you the money, let us look at the little red heifer, at the Porah Duma. They look at the Porah Duma, and the Porah Duma doesn't look them straight in the eye. Porah Nebuch looks here, there. So he says, you worked with her yesterday? He says, how did you know? He says, because a slave cannot look at you straight. You made Nebuch a slave out of her. She was a free cow. You made a slave out of her. It's awesome, the Gemara. The Gemara says, blessed is the God of Israel. Right? I mean, the depths of our Chachumim is nishmasik, right? I don't know if every veterinarian knows the depths of an animal, right? Maybe he knows the depths of the body of an animal, but they don't know the depths of the soul of an animal, right? So even animals. Okay, so what are we doing after Krishma? Okay, now one more thing, I have to throw it in. Every morning when I say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, I close my eyes. You know what that means? There is no world. Twice a day it has to be clear to me that there is no world. The world doesn't exist. You know, today is the Robschitz Yortzeit. I'm hailing Robschitz. In Robschitz, everything is Satznei Leches. Everything you do has to be only for God. Nobody should know about it. And there are millions I'll tell you as an example. One night, Rosh Hashanah, the Robschitzer had to stay in somebody else's house. So this Yidel thought, he's one of the great pupils of the Sea of Lublin. Rosh Hashanah night, Moschabli lets loose and saying Tillim and yelling. It'll be a one-man show, but it'll be Gewalt. Simple Yid. So he's trying to be up all night, and the Ravshit says, lying in bed, snoring loud. He says, Sedach chutzpah, you know. See if the Blein's Talmud doesn't say Tilim, not learning even simple Yid like me before you go to sleep. Then, in the morning, the Ravshitzer gets out of bed, and he doesn't wash Negelwasser. You know what that means? He didn't sleep at all. And it was worth it for him, the energy of snoring loud, so that nobody in the world should know that he's up all night. And I heard the story of the Heilige Bob Varov, you know, his mom's great-grandson. So somebody asked him, in Sons, it was the other way around. In Sons, everything was wild and loud, you know. So he says, I tell you, he says, by my sons who say there was no world. God bless you. See, in Ropshitz, there was a world, and you have to hide from the world that you're serving God. I don't want the world to know. But in Sons, it was a different issue. For him, the world didn't exist. There was no world, right? It's not. You know, I heard one with the big Chassidim, he went hundreds of miles to come to Sons, and then he arrived in Sons, and the Holy Sons came out from the bathroom, and the Holy Sons said, Hashayotze son of Chachma. Right? And you know the way the Sons says Hashayotze, you know? Heaven and earth are turning over, right? So he says, to the Chassidim, you know, it was worth it to travel 500 miles just to hear Sons sing Hashayotze, right? But let's say in Ropshitz, Hashayotze, you don't see anything, you don't hear anything. Hiding it, right? In Sons, he can't hide it because the world doesn't exist for him. Right? So when I say Shema Yisrael, Shema Kenu Shem Echad, the world doesn't exist. But then I go back into the world, because Shemona Esrei is that I'm in the world, and I tell God everything I need. If I'm sitting up there, I don't need anything. I'm here in this world. I need money. I need health. I need my head should work. So the shift between Shema Yisrael and Shemona Esrei is so he says, I'm saying 4 times Emes V'Yatziv, Emes Mitzrayim, because the deepest truth is that it's so easy to become a slave to the world. You know, the world is very beautiful, but the world has only one Schwachkeit. Why do you become a slave? Become a slave. So he says, between Krishna and Shemona Esrei, I'm becoming free. Here comes the deepest depth. Do you know that hey, Yontif. You remember when Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to pray that the plague should stop, he had to go out of Egypt. Why can't he pray in Egypt? Because in Egypt, you don't daven. See, in Egypt, there's no rain. Everything comes from the Nile. You know why there is no rain? Because when it rains, you look up. Egypt doesn't look up. Never looks up. How do they receive from God? They don't receive from God. Yeah, they do and don't. And you know, in the Zohar, it's very, very strong. It's really good to remember. What is called pagan worship, Elikim Acherim, right? We are not going to take a piece of wood and bow down to it. What is for us pagan worship? So Zohar is Elikim Acherim, other gods. The word Acherim doesn't come from the word other, but from the word back. Ocha. Elikim Acherim means that whatever I receive from God is like God throws it by his back. You know, when I love somebody, I give them face to face. When I can't stand somebody and want to give them something, I turn my face away and get it. See, Egypt is Elikim Acherim. Vayavdu Elokim Acherem. Let's put it this way, I don't want to say anything bad, Chas V'Shalom. What if a Yid knows I should keep Shabbos and he doesn't keep Shabbos? He wants their parnosa. He's not receiving it from God. God says, okay, you work on Shabbos, I'll give you a few rubles. It's pagan worship. And the deepest depth is, are you absolutely receiving everything face to face from God? Mamish face to face. And you see what it is? The world is so beautiful. But the world has some kind of one little sad part of it, that you stop looking up to the sky. What's a cow? A cow never looks up to the sky. You remember the famous old Reb Nachman story? I'm sure you know it. Reb Nachman was standing by the window, and he sees this rich man running like crazy. He says, "Hey Moshe, come here." He says, "Rebbe, I have no time. I have to make some money." He says, "I know it's very important, but listen to me." Okay, he comes into Reb Nachman. The Reb Nachman's house is opposite the marketplace. So Reb Nachman says to him, "Hey Moshe, have you have you looked up to the sky today?" He says, "Reb, I don't have time for this kind of thing. I have to run, make a living." He says, "Okay." He said, "Do me a favor, look out from the window, what do you see?" And he's already nervous. He says, "I see horses, I see wagons, and everything." So he says, "Don't you understand? In 100 years from now, it won't be the same wagons, it won't be the same horses, it won't be the same women buying apples, but the sky will still be the same. So why don't you look up? Why don't you look up?" And you see what it is. Everything in this world, the moment I stop receiving it face to face from God, I'm already a slave to the world. I'm lost. I'm lost. You know, God has unbelievable stuff for me available in this world, but it's my choice. I can receive it mamish face to face. If you don't want to, guys, okay, I'll throw it at you. I'll throw it at you. I'm going Shabbos to Nice, to Monaco, you know, and I think to myself, I'm not going to waste my Shabbos in shul this Shabbos. I'm going to go to the beach, have a good time. You're not promising me, he didn't call you back yet. Because when I got your message, I was in London.
No, I heard that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll talk to you. Anyway, dear friends, in Egypt, you just take everything what you have. You get it, you take it. Remember, Zohar Kodesh says, a slave takes, a king receives. You know, what's so special about Shabbos? What's so special about Shabbos? We don't take Shabbos, Kabbalah Shabbos, right? You receive Shabbos. What's about the Torah? You don't take the Torah. You know, even the words. Kabbalah Torah, you receive the Torah. You talk to a university student, he says, I take a course here, I take a course there, right? You take. In the yeshiva, you don't take. You receive, right? Eretz Yisrael, you don't take, you receive. So in Egypt is the land where you take. When you take, you don't look up. You look what you get, right? Remember the deepest Torah, this is the deepest Torah. You know, when Mashiach is coming, there'll be peace in the world, B'ez Hashem. So what will be the difference between us, Eden, and the world? Got to be a little bit of a difference. We prayed for it for so long, and then suddenly Mashiach comes, and it'll all be the same? Can't be. So this is what it is. Is the Torah from Ishbitzer? on the toiv be'enecha levochenu alvo esamch Yisrael v'chol eis v'chol shor b'shlema. Should be good in your eyes to give us peace.
When you said Ishbitzer, who are you talking about?
What?
When you said Ishbitzer, who are you talking about?
In Bes Yaakov, in one of the places here. Could be Meshla, Bes Yaakov, or Sod Yishom, you know? Sometimes they throw in a little word somewhere. Anyway, listen to this. I like this girl very much. And I want to see if she loves me also. I'm bringing her a gift, right? If she likes me a little bit, she looks at the gift. But the truth is, the gift is just a sign that I like her. If she loves me really, she looks at me, she looks at my eyes. I'm giving it to her. Because the gift is just a sign that I love her. My eyes, it's the deepest depths, right? So he says, the Mashiach is coming, there'll be peace. The world will look at peace, and we'll look at God's eyes. Something else, right? He says, V'toiv beinecha. Mamish, when Mashiach is coming, I should be privileged to see the goodness of your eyes. The way God gives me peace. You know what it is? In the Sukkah, when I sit in the Sukkah, the Gemara says, I have to be able to see the stars through the schach. You know what that means? You don't sit in the Sukkah and you even take the holiness of the Sukkah. Even that is not enough. I'm looking up all the time. I see the stars. And you know how deep this is? This is mamash very deep. Sometimes people know prayer helps, right? So I'm praying and I'm forcing God to give it to me. Even that is a slave. I want to make God into a slave. Chutzpah klape shmaya, right? I say, God, listen, didn't you tell us, you know, like the Yekir says, you know, Harabina, you know, it's now, you know, it doesn't go this way. I'm praying. Give it to me. Okay, here is the Torah. Vasienu, basically the Ishbitzer translates, is Meloshin, you know, Tumas Masa, means when you carry something. You know what's the saddest thing in the world is? On Yom Tov, God gives us so much. So much. And we take maybe 1% of what He gives us. Because we don't even have the strength to carry it. We don't have the strength to carry it. So I say, Vasi Eino Shem Elokeinu, the Boy Shem, please help me to carry it. Give me strength to carry the holiness of this Yom Tov. You know, most of us, 1 second after Yom Tov, the Yom Tov is gone. Because I didn't have strength to carry it. And here we have to turn the page to the other Vasienu, to enlighten us. Which one?
No, I was talking to him.
Oh. Okay, Dovital said already the whole thing, but I'm just saying it over again. Basically, on Pesach, God gives us light, not in our vessels. We don't have any vessels here. But God gives us, hopefully, God gives us vessels, a little bit, about the great light. The truth is, I don't have really vessels yet for this light. So I have only vessels somehow to carry it with me, but I don't have, my kishkis are not vessels for it yet. And we'll learn it maybe on in a few minutes. So even this is not 100% true, but just for the moment. You know, I'll tell you something. I get a call from Brother Rothschild. he is giving me $2 billion. Halabah, right? I don't have vessels for $2 billion, to be honest, right? Not a businessman. Halabah, my David will help me. He'll spend it. First we go to Bermuda for a week, right? I have it, I don't have vessels yet, right? Later on, let's say, going to business school, even on the very low level, and I know what to do with money, right? So basically, on Pesach, God gives me light. And then Spirit Omer, making vessels. Every day, a little more, right? I'm fixing my neshama, my insides, to be a vessel for this great light. In a certain way, on Shavuos, God gives me back the light of Pesach, right? But it's not true. He gives me back, but when God gives it back to me, the light is even deeper. Even deeper. Even deeper. See what it is, and we'll learn in a few minutes. Just right now, just let this be what it is. You see, on Spheres Omer, I made already vessels for it a little bit. So what am I crafting again on Shavuos Vasienu? Help me carry it. I worked on it for 50 days to make vessels, right? The Rebbe helped me. So this is the most beautiful thing in the world. As long as in your heart this is the light and this is the vessel, they didn't become one yet, it's also not for real. The deepest vessel is when it stops being a vessel. The vessel and the light is the same thing. Mamish become one. I want to tell you something. You know, I'm a tremendous genius and I understand every word in the Gemara. But you know something? The Gemara and me are still two things. My head and the Gemara is two things. I understand. I'm a professor of Talmud at Hebrew University. So, and on Shabbos I smoke away. And I told you once, I went to this unbelievable school for rabbis, without mentioning names, and I didn't believe my eyes. This Rebbe is sitting there, mamish, with the ham sandwich, without the yarmulke, and learning wo mit vier the Teutzes wie Yachleute. First of all, I wouldn't say I'm such a big lamb, but he was an ex-Chevron Yeshiva. Ex-Chevron, sits beside the yarmulke and is learning the Teutzes wie Yachleute. First of all, he didn't understand the Teutzes. Maybe he understood when he was learning it one time, 100 years ago. You know what it is? The Gemara, he didn't become one with what he understood. You know, I told you once, this was in the New York Times, that this person in the Sing Sing, who killed 18 people, came out with a book on love. He has good ideas, he has good light, but he's not a vessel, right? So you'll see, no, he understands what he says, right? But real vessel is more than understanding. The real vessel is not just head stuff. And you know, the Torah can become very easily head stuff. So what God gives me on Shavuos is not just a good head to understand the Torah. Mamash said, I become one with the light. Mamash, I'm becoming one with the light. You know, the essence of Shavuos is Vayichad Shem Yisrael Neged Ha'or, Mamash oneness. Mamash, all the Yidden are one. You see, on Pesach, it's me and my neighbor, me and my children. On Shavuos, it's Mamash one. Vayomer Yeshem Echad Shema Echad. It's the deepest, right? I want you to do something. I met a Yid when I was in Lakewood for the first few years there were only 17 Bochum in the yeshiva. So it was a big building and so many rooms. So whenever he needed a little vacation, he would come and stay there for 2-3 days, and the Rebbe would take care of him. I mean, one time a Polish Yid came from Poland. He was a Gewalt. What was his Gewalt? When he was 7 years old, he saw the Sochotshub. Sochotshub was the son-in-law of the Kotzker Rebbe, and just to give you a taste who he was, he finished Shas when he was 8, and he never learned it again. He had no time, because he was writing. I mean, his chidushim were flowing all the time. He was writing all the time. You know, there was a time when he was so poor and it was so cold, he had no money to put heat in the house. So he was lying in bed, and he was lying on the ink to keep the ink flowing. It shouldn't become ice. And he would write under the pillow, he would write his Torah. Awesome, right? Awesome. He would write day and night. So there's a story when he was, let's say, 40. A Yid came, and the Zohar Shabbat said, the Torah says it's in Sechta Megillah, Daf Zayin, on the 7th page. So a Yid says, great rabbi says, no, it's on page 8. Zohar Shabbat says, I'll tell you, when did you learn Megillah last? He says, last week. Zohar Shabbat says, the last time I learned when I was 8, which is now, let's say, take off 8 from 4, 32 years, right? Just bring him a sefter, let's look. Obviously, it was Daf Zayin, right? Yeah. So this Yid says, I want you to know, when I was 7 years old, I saw the Sochot Shabbat. Heilige Sochot Shabbat, right? He says, you know what he had in his head? Every word of the Torah which was given on Mount Sinai, right? Every word which was given on Mount Sinai, right? He says, when you looked at his head, it was not a head. It was Shas, Babli, Yoshami, Zer Kodesh. It was awesome. Right? You see, on Shavuos is more than just receiving the light. And it's more than vessels for the light. On Shavuos is mamish, I become one with the Torah. I'll tell you another Gewalt story just to give us a taste. You know, Rabbi Meir Arik was one of the super biggest Kohanim in Galician for the First World War. Like, awesome, right? Not like today, like Amnachem Zemesov, Antike Gedolim, you know. We're not talking about today, the old ones. And someone came to visit him. And everybody knows Rabbi Meir Arik was one of the biggest Chotkos Tziduk. So someone says to him, you know, you are such a big Gaon, you know so much, why do you have to go to this Rebbe? But you know, Rabbi Meir Arik was such a chassid, he would not talk about his Rebbe unless he puts on the Streimer, puts on the Gartel, and puts on Big Shabbos. So he says, I actually heard it from Meir Fund, you know, his grandfather was a nephew of Rabbi Meir Arik. Yeah. So he told me the story that, so Rabbi Meir Arik says, wait a minute, went into his room, put on a Streimer, a Gartel, and then he says, you want to know why I go to my Rebbe? Because by my Rebbe, every word of the Torah is shining before his holy eyes. Every word of the Torah is shining before his holy eyes. I'll give you one more example for all the holy sisters here. You know, the Heilige Bezer Rebbe had sons, but then he had the daughter Friedele. Basically, Friedele was his favorite. He said about Friedele, all Friedele needed a Streimer, and she'd be a Rebbe. But she was Mamash a Rebbe. When she was 7 years old, she was going down the steps, and a chassid was walking up the steps. And she asked him, "What do you want?" He says, "I want to see the Bezer Rebbe." She says, "My father's in here." He said, "What's your problem?" You know, what's the hazard? He tells her, "He says, I have trouble with my feet, a lot of pain in my feet." She says, "You know what you have to do? You have to buy candles for the Besmedrash." 4 weeks later, he comes back, remember the story? And he wants to thank the Bezer Rebbe. He says, "The Rebbe said, I've never seen you." He tells him the story that Friedrich said you should buy candles, and the pain stopped. Because in Friedrich, he says to Friedrich, how did you get this? You know, there's a posik in Tehillim that says, Ner leragli devorach. A light unto my feet are your words, right? So let's assume we know that passage. How do we receive this passage? Ner leragli devorach, that every word of the Torah is a light, right? But not the Ner alone and leragli alone, right? See, Friedel was on the level. The father says, "How do you know?" She says, "It says Ner leragli." Candles are good for the feet. You know? You see, this is on Pesach. Maybe I can know the posuk Ner leragli devorach, but Ner leragli is on Shavuos. And I want you to know the deepest depths. What are we doing the night before Shavuos when I prepare myself for Matan Torah? I would say I'm inviting this PhD in the Talmud to give a lecture on the Talmud and the original origin of the Talmud. And you know what I'm doing? I'm learning, but I'm not learning with my head. I'm learning the beginning of the parsha at the end, the beginning and the end. I don't even know what I'm saying. You know what it is? There's head learning, there's heart learning, and then there's Shavuos learning. Something else. Something else. And I want you to know something. The Ishmael says the deepest depth of the Torah. The question is, how much do you feel at home with the Torah? How much do you feel at home? I always tell my Chavra in New York, I see a lot of people holding a New York Times on Sunday in their hands. But how does it compare to little yeshiva boy sitting on the subway and holding a Gemara? Something else, right? Something else. You see, on Shavuos, I'm not learning. I'm just, please let me be at home with every parsha. Let me be at home with the Gemara. Let me be at home with the Zohar Kodesh. Won't you know something? I travel a little bit, I'm sure you do. I'm looking for a hotel. I want to stay at the Hilton or the Sheraton. I call up, do you have an indoor swimming pool or not? Sometimes the Sheraton has one, sometimes the Hilton. Then I decide what to take. When I go to my home, am I calling up my wife, finding out first, you know, what do you have there? It's my house, right? My connection to my house is not finding out what it is, if it's good or bad. And you see what it is? The whole idea of the tree of knowledge is already a sign it's not your house. It's not your house, because what are you asking questions? You know what's going on in the world? I meet the girl I love the most, and I'm going to find out if she's good or bad. She's already on her way out. What do you care if she's good or bad? If you love her the most, what's the question, right? Or what's the question? Oh, it's not your house, it's not your wife, it's just acquaintance. Sure, I'm going to waste my time with someone who's not so good. See, Shavuos is the utmost fixing of the tree of knowledge. The utmost fixing is that it's becoming one. You know, the Zohar Kodesh says one thing very important. When something falls apart, is because it was never one. Anything which is one cannot fall apart. If there was death in the world, that means my neshama and my goof never really felt at home with each other. They're hanging on to each other. Hanging on. And basically the Gemara says, when we stood on Mount Sinai, there was no more death in the world. Only later on, we made the golden calf, God forbid, it came back. Anyway, so I'm just remember, on Pesach, I'm asking God, give me vessels. Because this light is so deep, it's beyond me, completely beyond me, and I need vessels. First, I'm going to make vessels. But then I realized the last night, I don't want vessels. I have here a plate and a piece of herring on the plate. But the plate is one and the herring is two. I want this to be so much one. So then comes Shvuah, load on me the light of the Torah. Mamish one. You know what the Alter Rebbe said about his son? He says the Middle Rebbe says when you cut his veins, Torah flow out, not blood. I have to tell you something awesome. Rab Tzadok HaKohen, before he passed away, he was looking at his veins. They asked him, Rebbe, what are you looking for? So he says, I'm sure it's good for Shavuos to know. I'm sure you know, Shavuos we have some top yortzeits. King David, the Holy Baal Shem, and Graf Potocki, one of the greatest converts ever in the world. Maybe we have a few days, so I'll be able to tell you the story. I'm sure you know it anyway. Graf Potocki, he was born a Graf Potocki, and he converted. Then his mother found out. Then his mother found out that he's there, and they caught him, and they gave him choice: or you come back to become the Goyal, or we'll burn you. So they burned him on the stake. It's a whole long story. Some of you remember, there was one of the biggest mukabolim at that time, the Yisrael, the Shara Shaboyder, Rab Zusman, Ziskin, what's his name? Zusman, Ziskin or Ziskin Zusman? Yisrael Shara Shaboyder. Anyway, you know what he did? He was a great Kabbalist, and he could be a little bit out of his body. On the second day of Shavuos, they burned him on the marketplace. He didn't want him to be alone. He wanted him at least, when it says Shema Yisrael, it's too awesome even to think about it. There should be at least one more Jew with him. It's what is most dangerous. A Yid cannot walk around while they're burning Yid. So, what's this marketplace? And there was this huge tree over the marketplace. So he was able to do it. He hung himself on the tree, and he was there for 2 days. Obviously, he didn't sneeze, or he didn't go to the bathroom or anything. He was out of his body. And then, when everyone was yelling, they were yelling, burned the Jew, and the Heilige Graf Potocki for saying Shema Yisrael, he yelled at him. He said, I want you to know, if this kind of yelling didn't bring Mashiach, I don't know what to bring. He was yelling, I'm here with you, Awesome, right? So Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach says that Graf Potocki, before they dragged him out on the marketplace to be burned, he said, wait a minute, and he was looking at his veins. And the Galachol, the priest, asked him, what are you looking? He says, I was born a non-Jew, came a Jew. I just wanted to see if every blood vessel of me has become Jewish. So Rabbi Tzadok Cohen says, before he passed away, I want to see if every blood vessel of me serves God. Well, you see, for us, on Shavuos, it's my big chance. Mamish, every ounce of a blood cell, every ounce of nerve of muscle is mamish receiving the Torah. It's not just like I bought a book in paperback, Brother Moses' Bible. I think it's a beautiful book. And you see what it is. This is really the essence of everything. Without saying anything bad about the world, they know the Bible for 3,000 years, 2,000 years, right? Translated. Is there one book, a good commentary on anything in the Bible? I would like one cute little galachol should come to me and say, Brother Shlomo, I have an unbelievable book for you. I wrote commentaries on the portions of the Bible. Why not? Yeah, they can quote the Bible, but they don't know what it says. Nothing. Okay, I'll tell you. It says, Moshe Rabbeinu was angry at the Yidden, right? He says, Shimon Amorim, Moshe Rabbeinu hits the stone, he was angry at Yidden. So I was somewhere in a big ecumenical meeting at one time, so the Galachal lets loose, and he says, even Moshe Rabbeinu was angry. That's why he didn't go into Israel. But, he says, Brother JC was never angry. I mean, he was there and he knows. So therefore he says, Mamash Mafurish in the Torah, right? That Brother JC is better than Moshe Rabbeinu. You don't need more proof than that, But, on one hand, it was said, on the other hand, I was so proud being a Yid. What does he know about Moshe Rabbeinu? What does he know about Moshe Rabbeinu being angry? And I'll tell you one Torah from the Volker. Why was Moshe Rabbeinu hitting the stone? Why didn't he talk to the stone? Because if he would speak to the stone, and the stone would give water, it would reflect so bad on the Yidden. Because then Brother Satan would say in heaven, you see, even the stone listens to you, and the Yidden are not listening to you. So Moshe Rabbeinu hits the stone in order not to make the Yidden look bad, right? I mean, it's just a little Torah like this, right? They don't have it. Why don't they have it? They didn't receive the Torah. Yeah, they can read the Bible, but receiving the Torah inside, family. Inside was given to us. And you see, right now, and I want you to know one more thing, which is very important. It says, Moshe Kibel Torah Messina. Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah on Mount Sinai. So he says, this is mamash from all the great Mekubolim, that receiving is only if you take the whole thing. If someone gives me something and I take only part of it, it's not called receiving. You see, it doesn't say in Yeshua, Kibbutz Torah for Moshe. Moshe Masorah, he gave it over. But Yeshua didn't receive everything Moshe because he didn't have the vessels for it. Moshe Rabbeinu had the vessels to receive the Torah from Yahweh. And a little bit on Shavuos, every Yid, on what level we are, it's our biggest chance. It's not learning, right? Shavuos night I'm not learning also. I know you want to maybe make a step for one sake, but let me tell you this one story. You know, really, friends, I want you to know something. I mean, it's earth-shaking. It's earth-shaking. The chance we have for those few days between now and Shavuos. Mama shall bless you. Really, I'm telling you, I don't have to tell you, but maybe one person needs to hear it. The night of Shavuos, your life depends on it. Your life depends on it. Because that night, I said, you know, I'm tired, I have a headache, I'm going to sleep. So morning I'm going to the last minyan, begins 10:30. You know. Yeah, you can. You can do anything you want to. You can commit suicide also, right? I wish I could be here, but I want you to know, will you ever miss me Shavuos night now? Though it was what's now so much better, you know, but too many times. I want you to know really, the last two, who was there with us last year? No, you weren't there. Oh, Danny was there, right? The last half hour before dawn, right? Mama's like Yom Kippur. Mama's like Yom Kippur. Deepest outpouring of the heart. You know, children always know the best. I asked my little girl Dari, you know, we walked out from the shul at 6 o'clock. Remember when we said Shema Yisrael? It was awesome, right? I couldn't believe, you know, there were some young people who know very little about Yiddishkeit. Right? The way they were yelling Shema Yisrael, Mamash, I could see them, Mamash, they're ready to receive the whole Torah. I said, Dari, how was it for you? She says to me, it was Yom Kippur, you know. Children know, right? But here I just want to tell you this fast story, then we learn the Torah. Everybody heard of the Heilige Rebbe on you. Rabdorf of Levu. He was the third or fourth son of the Rishner. And the Heilige Rishner said, if any of my children will be Mashiach, it will be Rebbe on you. And right now I don't want to tell the whole story, but he was a Gewalt, right? Remember, I once shared with you that how does a crown, imagine someone put a crown on my head. If it's on here, it will fall off. If it will be here, it will roll down to my nose. So David HaMelech had a little bone sticking out, and which hold up the crown, right? And I don't know when, after Churban Beis Hamikdash, they still had it, you know, few of the descendants of David HaMelech. For then, as to our knowledge, nobody had it. The Heilige Rishner had a little bump here. The Rishner always had his yarmulke down to here. He didn't want people to see it. And from his children, the only one who had it was the Rabbi Bernier. Awesome, right? Okay, Rabbi Bernier was not, it was, we have no concept, right? He would mamish sit with his chassidim all night long. Especially before Shavuos, mamish would go in the forest with his chassidim all night long. So this old chassid writes from another rabbi. He says, I heard Rabbi Bernier is something special. I decided I want to go there for Shavuos. Gewalt. Coming there for Shavuos, okay, the davening is beautiful. And I'm sure you know that in the Rishon, the Rebbe doesn't daven in the same room as Chassidim. The Rebbe davens in another room, and the door is a little bit open, but who would have the chutzpah to go in? And just to give you a taste, but the Heilige Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach, a grandson of Rishon, was very, very strict. The door is open to the Rebbe, but you cannot go in. One time a chassid thought, what's so big? I want to hear the Rebbe daven. He walked in, and he heard the Rebbe saying, Baruch Ato Hashem, and he fainted, and he was in a coma for 3 months. In a coma for 3 months. I mean, imagine, we would hear the high priest calling out Gas on Yom Kippur. We would die. We would die instantly, right? Okay, just to give us a taste who the Rishna children were, right? So the Rebbe Rebellion davens by himself, and then it's a little tishule, and you know, in Rishon, especially Shavuos, like you don't say Torahs, and everybody says tikkun, you know. You know, tikkun means actually fixing, right? The fixing of Shavuos, we mentioned before, I'm sure everybody knows, you learn the whole Torah, the first few, from every portion, first 3 sentences, the last 3 sentences. Anyway, to make it short. And this is a letter, a classic letter, which was reprinted in all the books as well. So this Chassid writes, I liked it, you know, it didn't turn me over or under, it was good. Let's say dawn is in then it's dawn in Lebu in Russia. Let's assume it's 4:30, right? Everybody's saying tikkun. Suddenly about 3:30, the door opens and the Heilige Rebbe is standing by the door. And in Rishon, when the Rebbe comes out, then everybody makes like a half moon about the Rebbe, you know, saying in a half circle, the Rebbe standing by the door, and the Chassidim stand around. And the Rebbe says, oh, what's new in the theater in St. Petersburg? What's playing right now? You know, Hamlet or anything. I don't know the name of those plays. And this Chassid says, wow. Now I know why everybody's against Rishon, you know. Rishon, you know, they say they're not frum and they're modern and everything. Talking about Shavuos night talks about the theater. But he says, Mama, she wanted to run out and put some cut in my ears, but I was locked in between the theater, nothing I could do. Then the Rebbe says, what's going on with football? I mean, Mamish, I thought this is the end, right? And the Rebbe goes on until it's Mamish dawn. Talks about everything in the world, about the theater, about sports, whatever goes on, about politics, about the world. And then, you know, the light begins to come into the Bismedrash. Then the Rebbe says, Yidden, it's time for tikkun. It's time to fix everything. You know, tikkun means to fix, right? He just said, Yidden, it's time for tikkun. And suddenly it was clear to me that the Rebbe was talking to me the whole time. And he was mamish telling me my whole life story. The Rebbe was telling me my whole life story. Everything made sense to me. I just couldn't contain myself anymore. I went out and I fell down under the first tree. It wasn't Yom Kippur. It was 20 billion Yom Kippurs. Just, it was at the end. Gewalt, the Rebbe Mamish cleansed my neshama like before I was born. And you see, I thought the Rebbe was only talking to me. But suddenly I look around. Every few inches another Chassid is lying there, crying their eyes out. And after a few hours, the Rebbe's Gabba came and collected us, says, the Rebbe goes daven. The Rebbe came out to daven. You know what I mean to tell you? No, okay, let's stop here and let's make a little, because I want to tell you something about this story, but so deep, you know. Just think about it, the way I look at the theater and the way the Heilige Levi, the Heilige could be Mashiach looks at the theater, right? You see, when you just say about the theater, it's treif, it's bad, it's terrible, you know, sweet, right? But that's not where it's at. Because there is something to everything. There is something to it. God created it. If God didn't want it to be here, it wouldn't be here. It's here. Everything is here, right? You know, the Gemara says, if we wouldn't have received the Torah, the world would have been destroyed. That means, on Shavuos, I'm mamish reaffirming the world. Anyway.
To pass around some I have a pad in my other office, to pass around a pad.
Okay,
Please
good.
put your
Come on,
name and address and phone number. A lot of times we've had things where you've signed an address but not a phone number, or a phone number not an address, and we hope as we progress here to get a little bit more organized. Also, there are sheets describing other programming, and there are programs of Yakar.
This is different one. Rebbe, you still have to answer us from the end.
Okay, brothers and sisters. You see, this is so deep, I don't know if you can even cover it in 10,000 years, but just every day a little bit more. You know, I know you share my feelings. You know, it's so easy, it is so easy to say, in order to be frum, the easiest way is that there is no world. There is no world. It's so easy to say, you know, the only people who exist are Yidden, Goyim don't exist. It's easy. It's as simple as it is. Right? I once had the privilege, I played in Brooklyn College, so some bocher came up to me and he says, do you know who are the most broken people in Brooklyn College? And he says, take me, he says. I'm coming from a very, very religious home, very frum, super frum, right? So for us it says Goyim don't exist. Anybody who's not frum doesn't exist. So it's good, right? I have no dealings with them. And my sister goes to Beth Yaakov. She knows how to make Lokschenkugel. And what else? I covered it, right? Then she'll marry somebody who also wants a good Lokschenkugel, and that's it. But I want to go to Brooklyn College, right? It's already all the fighting at home till I get through, you know. I'm going to Brooklyn College. And next to me is a Catholic girl. Ivey. And this girl has more neshama in her toes than my sister had, even after being in paradise for 2,000 years. It's a heavy test, right? It's a heavy test. So what are we going to do? Or what am I going to do, right? He says, you know, I'm Chaver like me. He says, we are the most broken people in Brooklyn College. Because we don't know which world are we supposed to be in. Because the frum world taught us Goyim don't exist, and if they are, who knows, they're the worst. And then I see with my eyes, with my heart, the hardest thing is how to get the Asora Mamorot and the Seir Sadibus together. How do you get the 10 Commandments and the 10 sayings of the world? The world. And, okay, we have all the time in the world. You know, the Aseret HaDibros begin with Aleph. Anoich Hashem Elokecha. The 10 sayings begin with Beis, Bereshis. This is a Torah from the Holy Abter. I mean, it's a classic Torah. I'm sure most of you know it. The month of the destruction of the temple is called Menachem Av. That one day God will Mamash means God, our Father, will console us. Got to be more than that. So the Heilige Abter says that Aleph is the 10 Commandments, the base are the 10 sayings. Menachem Av, one day God will console both of them and they'll make peace between each other. You see what it is? Exile means, a Jew in exile is if he can't get the act together. The 10 sayings and the 10 Commandments. The Aleph and the base are not together. It's an awesome Torah, right? I mean, it's cutting right through till Mashiach is coming, right? How do I get the Aleph and the base together? And I want you to know something. What do we need? Forget about whatever happened before us. What do we need? Right? Okay. Like again, this person I told you before, I think Gilly wasn't here. I was talking about a Swedish young man. She can't get together with his wife never. Anyway, so he told me when he was young, 16, 17, and he tasted the world. So he came to his big Rebbe and asked him, what should I do? Like something happening inside. So his Rebbe says, just keep on learning and everything will be good. How's it sound to you? I want you to know something. The Heilige Reb Tzodek HaKohen says that people from the age of 10, between 10 and 20, or between 10 and 25, are not normal. Not normal. It's unbelievable Torah. He says people between 10 and 25 are not normal. What happened?
Somebody's beeper.
Ah. So he says, it says on Rosh Hashanah we say, Atu Yedea Rosei Olam, you know the secrets of the world. He said, this is one of the Rosei Olam. Why is God putting us through all this? Why can't we grow up normally? We can't. You know what it means? Until we are 10, we are not really in this world yet. We are not 100% in this world yet. Listen, do me a favor. Do you want to move over? Let Rabbi Mickey sit closer. Rabbi Mickey, what do you say? What's Rabbi Mickey saying? What?
Spot on. It means right on.
Oh, brother. It takes a long time to grow up. Myself. I'm sure you too. Still in the middle. When I was in yeshiva, imagine I'm a yeshiva, right? And let's say David is my Rebbe, or Rab Miki is my Rebbe, and they say they are telling me a shidduch, but there's a girl, let's say, Sprinzele. It's obviously a good name because most girls, when they name Sprinzele, then nobody takes it personal. Okay? Okay, Sprinzele, what's their first question? They will not ask me, do you love her? Because it's stupid. The first thing they'll ask me is she from, right? Then they'll ask me who's her father. And then ask me who's her Bobber. They'll ask me 2,000 questions which have nothing to do with her or with me. I've been in 255,000 weddings, right? And all the big Roshivas giving a speech. What are they saying? Mama, you should have a Torah life, and you should wax a good you should be the greatest rabbi. And we give all the speeches, and they say nothing which has to do with this man or this woman. Like it doesn't exist. I will tell you an unbelievable, and please don't think that I'm knocking off all these shirbochim, because despite this, they're growing up, they're becoming better all the time. But listen, I overhear this conversation between two yeshivbochim. One says to the other, thank God, in 4 weeks, my first year is over, first year of marriage. And it says the first year you have to be good to your wife. You have to talk to her. So he says, Baruch Hashem, he says, my first year is over in 4 weeks, then I'll be able to learn again. And then they talk about weddings, and then one of them says, let's say, Yankele, when he got married, was a good father. So you would think, someone says the wedding was a gewalt, I would say the simcha, or whatever it is. He says, Mamish, the whole time under the chuppah, he was talking and learning. He had another yeshiva bocher standing next to him, right? And he was talking and learning. Unbelievable, right? That means his head was Mamish in the Torah. And never he had to go through this whole stupid thing getting married, because there's the mitzvah in the Torah, you must have children. And if not for the Torah, I wouldn't get married. Right? We should have Torah, why should I get married? The whole thing. And what's going on there? I shouldn't have mingled in, but I had to mingle in. I said to him, let me ask you something. When you shock a lulav, right? In between shockling, are you talking and learning? Why not? Because right now you're shock a lulav, right? You're with it. He says, isn't a wedding at least as important as shockling lulav? What do you mean you stand under the chuppah, you're talking and learning? What kind of stupidity is that? One of the two. If you're a God person, you completely give it to God, and right now God wants you to get married, so be with it. And if it's not clear to you, so why do you get married? So don't. Forget it, right? But you know what it is? They are so afraid of the world, they can't stomach it, right? They're so afraid of the world. I'm giving you all these bad examples to tell you the other side. There's a girl who I know for many years. Mamash, sweet like sugar. So tmimus, mamash. Tmimus means naive, but not stupid naive. There's certain holy naiveness. Mamash, sweet like sugar. So, anyway, she's getting married to a very big London, Now he's becoming a mensch, but then he wasn't. They got married, Kamisha Osaba'av, a few days after Tisha B'Av. Okay, after about 10 days, getting close to Chodesh Elul, he's telling her that from Rosh Chodesh Elul until after Simchas Torah, he does not talk to women, including his wife. What? Especially. This girl was besides herself. Which is, I'm just married about nearly 2 weeks, and he's not going to talk to me for 2 months now. I'm going to handle it. Let me ask you something. Heartbreaking. What's the problem? They're so afraid of the world. You see, they don't believe. They don't believe that loving your wife or your children is as much Torah as loving the Gemara. You mean to say God is only one love, that's the Gemara, and the rest He doesn't give a damn about it. You have to go through it. Like medication, it's bitter, you have to take it. You know when someone told me something awesome? Someone says to me that his father was one of the biggest in the world. He is 7 and his sister is 6. One day his father talks to him very little. One day his father says to him, I forgot already, who's older, you or your sister? So, you know, it blew my mind. He's so much into learning. Can you imagine how holy he is? That he does not really remember the age of his children. When he comes up to heaven, they blow their mind. So give him a kick. I don't want to say where. What kind of a yid are you? God gives you children, and you don't remember how old they are. It's gefährlich, right? That means they mamish know pshat in the Rambam, but they don't know pshat in the world. To know what's going on in the world. If by you the world and God is not one, then you're an outsider. I'll tell you another terrible example. I'm walking down Borough Park. As much as I love it, it's cute like sugar. And it was a beautiful day, and I'm standing there waiting for a cab. And suddenly, I see the Shahid comes. It's also cute like sugar, you know. I love him like crazy, but listen what it is. So he's standing there. I say, you know, Rabbi Yankel Mamish, Gewalt, what a beautiful word God gave us. He says, Shloime, the Biskali Gewalt. Shloime means you're off the deep end. If I can say that the world is beautiful, that's the end of my Yiddishkeit, right? The end of my Yiddishkeit. And I want you to know, where is this coming from? Where is this all coming from? Until he fixes it.
Where is it all coming from?
Ah, but yeah. From the Jewish press. Anyway. Chaim. You know that this is paganism? What's a pagan? A pagan is somebody who cannot believe that you can be holy if you have a wife and children, if you're in business. Because it doesn't click together. You stand on the crossroad, or you are a God person, or you are a world person. So what does all the religions do? They appoint a few people, and they're doing everything for them. You know? Pagan worships the priests, right? He does everything. You don't do anything. Well, in other words, you go to a priest and confess, and he'll fix it between you and God, right? What's Ba'as? Ba'as, the holiness of Yiddishkeit is, I want you to know something I give out. Pesach, I can manage not to eat. I have to eat matzah, but let's assume I can fast. Sukkot, I have to eat a little bit, but I could basically fast. Shavuos, the Gemara says, Hakol moedim ba'atzeres to be'in elochem. On Shavuos, you have to eat. Because what's Shavuos all about? Shavuos is to bring the Torah into this world. Before Moshe Rabbeinu, Torah was in heaven, and heaven was always Torah. God didn't give us the Torah to separate heaven from earth here. God gave us a Torah mamish in this world. Mamish in this world. And here comes the deepest thing in the world. Why did we make the golden calf? We made the golden calf because we didn't connect the Torah to the world yet. So we said Moshe Rabbeinu is up in heaven, but I live in this world, and this world I have no connection to God. If I want to have a little connection, I'll make it via the golden calf. What can I do? So what was the fixing? The fixing is that God gave us Torah Shebal Peh, the oral tradition, which is awesome. We had it before, but it was included in the Torah, and after the golden calf, Mamash God gave it to us, and Mamash wants you to open your heart. You know what Torah Shebal Peh is? Something unbelievable. I'll tell you a good story. I think I shared it with you, but maybe not with everyone. What are all the tshuvas, all the Torah Shebal Peh for? It's not when things are right. When things go wrong, what am I doing then? What am I doing when things go wrong? You see, if I teach my child only what to do when everything is right, and I never teach them what to do when it's wrong, I didn't give them any education. Because everybody knows what to do when things are right. What do you do when things are wrong? What am I doing when I'm falling apart? What am I doing when I can't get my act together? I'll tell you an unbelievable story just to give you a taste. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein was like the greatest in the world, one of the greatest in the world. What was his specialty? When things go right, you don't need Rabbi Moshe, right? You open a Shulchan Aruch, you look it up. When do you need Rabbi Moshe? When things go wrong. Let's assume a woman comes from Russia. I mean, this was his specialty. He saved thousands of families. A woman comes from Russia, and her husband didn't want to come. And here she is. She meets somebody. She wants to get married, but she doesn't even have her husband's address anymore. And who'll go there to try to get? What are you going to do? Right? Thousands of stories like this. I have the privilege. Rabbi Moshe, there's a tshuva from Rabbi Moshe to me. I think I told it over to Mimi. Unbelievable story. You're not permitted to marry a woman who's pregnant from somebody else until she has the baby. Okay. It's a long, long story. But anyway, to make it very short, one of my friends, it was a few years ago, she's going with the boy, and they broke up. Then she goes with another boy. This is already a shirbocha, a top man. And, top. What do you think is top? Her father is a very simple Yid. And he says to her, I'm going to marry you. And besides sounding course, before you get married, you have to rehearse a little bit. And during rehearsing, she got pregnant. The moment this top man hears she's getting pregnant, suddenly he got cold feet because he thinks that his parents will not agree that he should marry a daughter of a very simple Yid, because his father told him he wants him to marry the daughter of a Rosh Yeshiva. Right? I mean, this is unbelievable, right? Mamash makes you feel so good. So he suggested to her that she should have an abortion. Okay, and I was friendly with her. Called her up from time to time. One day I called her up, I says, I knew she's going with this top man. I said, what's going on? So when are you getting married? Because she was supposed to get married to him. She says, forget it, I'm through with all men. I have nothing to do with men anymore. And I know one thing, when a woman gets married, when a woman gets pregnant, sometimes at the beginning stage she's angry with all men of the world. There's something like this. I said to her, you know something? We are good enough friends, I can talk to you straight. I have a feeling you're pregnant. She broke down crying. She said, I got to talk to you. God bless you. I'm meeting her a few days later. Do you know I didn't recognize her? I did and I didn't. She looked like she was run down for 100 years. She says, listen to me. I want you to know I have 2 days to commit suicide. Because it's clear to me that I'm not having an abortion. And it's clear to me he's not going to marry me. And it's also clear to me my parents are very frum. When they find out I'm pregnant, my father will have a heart attack on the spot. It's not that they'll throw me out from the house, but they'll be so aggravated. I cannot do it to my father. I have one easy way. I have one easy way to commit suicide. So I asked her, well, what about this boyfriend that you had before this one, who loved you so much, and you didn't want to marry him? Did you tell him? She says, I'll tell you the truth. I did tell him. He said, he's marrying me within 2 seconds. So I said, so why don't you? Anyway, okay, it was not the greatest love of her life. I says, right now you're saving your life and the baby's life. But here comes the deep thing. You're not permitted to marry someone who's pregnant from another man, right? So I had the privilege of going to the Heilige Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. And she was weird. She said, I'm committing suicide in 2 days. I went to Rabbi Moshe, and it was unbelievable. Now, you know, he had phone calls day and night from the whole world, right? Called up Rabbi Moshe, went downtown, told him the whole story. I told him it's a question of life and death. If by tomorrow morning 10, I don't tell her what to do, she's committing suicide. She was a very strong woman, you know. She was not a little stupid girl. Anyway, he says, come back tomorrow morning 7 o'clock. Maybe it sounds simple to some people, you know, you're not permitted to marry someone who's praying for them. It's not so simple, right? Because every word in the Gemara is cutting right through all of our lives, right? He says to me, I want you to was up all night, and I found what Shema Hette, and he gives me the whole truth. It's printed now in one of the Igros Moshe, humble letter to humble me. He says, I want you to know it was very, very hard, he says. So, what would I mean to say? You know what Torah Shabbat Peh is? Mamish, the deepest involvement in life. It's mamish alive, right? You know, imagine Ramosha would not be a big Gaon. He would say, listen, I'm sorry, you're not permitted. Hang yourself, commit suicide. Who cares, right? That would mean that the Torah is bankrupt, right? That the Torah, when it comes to the real crucial, can you help me? You know, if I'm well, who needs a doctor, right? You know, I don't want to say anything bad. They asked the former rabbi, are you permitted to carry an umbrella on Shabbos? He says, under no circumstances. I tell him, and if it's raining? It's raining. Something else, right? You know, when everything goes right, sure the Torah is easy. What am I doing when it's raining, right? You know what it is? What we need. You see, we are in exile because the Torah and the world is not together. Because the Torah and the world is not together. We haven't learned it yet. And basically, I want you to know in the deepest depths, in the mamish, I mean, this is awesome, right? Do you know that in a certain very, very deep way, the men have to learn Torah, right? The women, our holy sisters, have a better sense of this world than we men have. Fact of life. And you see what it is. The snake comes to Eve, not to Adam. Because, you know what? what the snake says? If I can make this world ugly for Chava, that will be a gewalt, right? If I can put in her head there's good and bad, right? Every second it's good and bad, I have to have the world destroyed. If I tell the man the world is bad, he says, okay, I'm running back to my Gemara, right? Simple as it is. So anyway, I want you to know something. I want to learn here just a few words. Setting up, I made a mistake when I gave you the Haggadah because I didn't have it in front of me. I meant Inyan Oima and the Chelik Sheni, but you told me you don't have it. So just, you don't mind, I'll read it for you, yeah? You have the Haggadah? Oh, you have the Haggadah there in the back. Inyan Oima. I once had the privilege in my shul with a homeopath. What?
I can run Xerox off 20 copies real quick.
In 1 second, yeah?
They have them.
Oh, they have it?
That's something?
Oh, you have it in here's I'm from here, from the back. In the back, yeah? 120. No, it's 120.
We don't have it.
How long did it take you to mimeograph it? 2 seconds?
2 seconds. So tell another story.
Okay, good. You don't have a guitar here by any chance? No.
Tomorrow.
Yeah? Oh, okay. I'll tell in the meantime the story fast. What about the homeopath?
What about the girl?
Mama, you think about. Okay, let me finish the story with the girl. The next morning, 10 o'clock, I saw the girl. She called up this other boyfriend, and she got married to him.
The first one.
What? The one who was good to her.
Yeah.
The one she thought is not so good. Anyway.
The one that didn't get her pregnant.
Didn't get her pregnant, yeah. Anyway, and then Baruch Hashem, she had 8 children. Wait. I didn't see her for many, many years. It was mamish crazy. The first time I went down with Neshama to the Holy Wall, there she was standing with that girl who was born because I got the head from Rabbi Moshe, right? Because she would have committed suicide. And she says to me, you know that she doesn't know that even know you, she doesn't know. But she listens to music all the time. And she says she had a very special connection to me, inside, right? It's 8 children. 8 children. You know what that means? That means Rav Moshe saved 8 lives, right? And so what? And the girl, right? 9, right? And Moschol this one also, because he really loved her. The Robshitzer story is as simple as it is. After the Heilige Robshitzer left the world, the Heilige Sanzer and his best friend, the Heilige Kamike, went to Bez. And after being 2 years in Bez, the Heilige Bez says, you're here waiting for 2 years, it's time I should give you over the secret of dying. The Yichud, rabbis when they leave the world, love you. I'll give it over to you. So they said, how should we prepare ourselves? So he says, I'll tell you what to do. You have to fast for 3 days. Go 18 times a day to the mikveh. And on the 3rd night after midnight, you come, and I will give you over the secret of dying. Okay, so the sons And they come and do their fast 3 days. The third night at midnight they come. And you know, Malkele, the wife of the Holy Bezer, she was like a Rebbe, she was standing outside. When they came outside, she says to them, so, what do you think of my husband? Gewalt gives you over the secret of dying. The Holy Sender says, Rebbetzin, if you promise me, Mamish, not to be angry, I tell you something. You know, Malkele is for real. Just give me a few minutes to wipe out anger from my heart. You know, Mamish, you know, it's not so simple. She says, okay, I'm ready. He says, Rebbetzin, I want you to know we knew it from before. Because the Heilige Robschütze gave it over to us. And I didn't tell anything to your husband because I wanted to see what he said. She says, okay, that's beautiful. He says, no, that's not the end. You have to promise me you'll tear out jealousy from your heart. That's already a little bit harder. Takes a few minutes longer. And now it's a story in Bobov, you know, it's not so simple. You know, Marcellus for real is not president of Hadassah tearing out jealousy. She said, okay, I'm ready. She said, I want you to know, your husband told us to fast 3 days, go 18 times to the mikveh, come after midnight, and he gave us over the secret of dying. You know how the Robschütze gave us over the secret of dying? He says, one Friday morning, you know, there was 1,000 of Chassidim came, and the Robschütze is not so rich, so most they had potatoes, maybe a little herring and challah. So the Kamik and I, we would wake up early Friday morning, daven fast, and then for hours we would peel potatoes in the kitchen. Got to help the Rebbetzin. And what do? You peel a potato. You peel it, and then you throw it back in the pot, right? The pot is full of water. So splashes of it. And you know, the Robschütze was like, after Mashiach has come, and he was always laughing. The Robschütze walks into the kitchen, and he says, ha ha ha, and he's laughing. Then he walks up to us, he puts his arm around me, but the Kamike, and our 3 heads are together. Then he takes a potato, and he throws it back in the pot. And when the water splashed on us, he washed us clean like before we were born. And then he says, ha ha ha, let me tell you the secret of dying. He told us a secret, then he says, ha ha ha, and he walked out. Option. You know, on his grave, the Holy Son wrote, Yochid b'doiroi b'chochma elokis. One in the world in understanding God. One in the world. You know, the son was, God bless you. The son of Bunbaidan, it was true, right? I think something awesome. The Heilige Zedit was considered one of the greatest Kabbalists among the students of the Sea of Lublin, right? Zedit The Heilige Sande was 11 years in Robschütz, in one Shabbos in Zedit When he mentions the Zedit in his Sefer, he writes, Rabbi Amoire HaKodesh, my holy teacher, Zedit When he writes about Robschütze, he writes, Harav HaChocham, that's what he calls it. Wow. So they asked him, it's crazy, and the Zedit were one Shabbos, and you write Moir Rabbi HaKodesh, and the Robschütze, you write Harav HaChocham, why didn't you write Moir Rabbi? He said, I'll tell you, because whatever I could learn from Zedit Shoiv, he gave me over that Shabbos. But from Robschütz, I licked like one drop from the ocean. After being there for 11 years. What do we know? You know, at a certain period, the Heilige Robschütze didn't talk at all. They called all the doctors say there's nothing wrong with him. They didn't talk. One day, he was alone with his son, the Heilige Jikrin. So he says, Mama, she says, Heilige Tate, I'm begging, I know that you can talk. I know that you can talk, I know you just don't want to talk. Why don't you talk? So he says, in that respect, Rabbi Shlomo was one in the world. Not only, obviously, every word he uttered was gewalt, even the combination of the letters. The combination of the letters, even he talked in Yiddish. Just to give you a taste. One time, like Ba'omer, the Heilige Ropshitze got on the beamer, and he was telling, like Raman, it was a wedding, he was telling Raman about like Ba'omer, about Reb Shimon Yochai, and everybody was laughing, mamish to tears. And the Heilige Kamike was standing in a corner, was crying his eyes out. And people said, why are you crying? He says, do you know that every word the Rebbe utters is numerically 33? And he spoke, like this, right? And he says, do you know he's Megala, the deepest secret of the Zohar Kodesh? It's beyond us, right? So the Rebbe says to his son, I want you to know I never utter words unless I'm meyached yichudim between God's names. Yud Kevovke, Aleph Dalet Nun Shin Nun Yud. And right now he says, I'm so, exhausted, my brains are so exhausted. I mamish need a rest. So I'm not talking. I heard it also from the Boba Rebbe, who was his grandson. Different people, right? Do you remember the famous story? The Ropshitzer was also in Koznitz at one time or another. So one time the Koznitzer Magid, exactly 12, would go to the mikveh, and then he would lament the destruction of the temple. One night he's sitting down to Tikich Tzois, and it doesn't go. He says, is there a wedding in the city? I told him, yeah, there's a wedding. He says, is the Ropshitzer there? Because the Ropshitzer would always go on the bima and say jokes to make Chosn Kala laugh. But if you didn't know what it is, you think it's a joke. But when you know what it is, he was revealing the deepest secret of the Torah. So he says, is there a wedding in the city? Told him, yeah. Is the Ropshitzer there? He says, yes. I says, no wonder. He says, I'm always, when I lament the destruction of the temple, there's silence in heaven and they listen to my lamentations. Tonight I'm trying, nobody's listening. So I understood that the Pamaria Shemale, all of heaven is listening to the Ropshitzer. So he said, if the Shekhinah is there, I want to go there also. So the Kodesh Magid packed up, and they went to a bar, and there the Heilige Ropshitzer was standing on the table. The thing was like this. It was a very poor couple. They had a little wedding, but they had no money to make a feast. There was nobody there, so bride and groom never went to the bar to drink some beer. It was their feast. The Heilige Ropshitzer saw Chosn Kala was sitting so sad in a corner. The Heilige Ropshitzer says to all the drunkards, we have a Chosn Kala here. We better do something drastic. So he went on the bima and was telling jokes, right? But Gewalt, right? It was better than the Kodesh Magid's Tikich Tzois. You know what the Ropshitzer did? He didn't want anybody to know what he was doing. So he had this Gabba, the Shamas, his right-hand man. He took an idiot. An idiot who doesn't know who he is, what he is, So after the Ropshitzer passed away, they asked this Gabba, tell us something about the Rebbe. He said, what's there to say? It was a Yid like you and I. What's there to talk about? I say, I mean, it can't be. You got to remember something. He says, yes, I remember a very stupid thing, he says. One time we went to the mikveh, and the candle burned out. So the Rabbi says, and there was some ice hanging down from the mikveh. He said, why didn't you take the ice and put the fire on the top of the ice to have a little light? He says, you see, something stupid I remembered. Unbelievable. You know, the book of the Ropshitz is the Sefer Zera Kodesh. The Ropshitz didn't want anybody to print his book. He left word, I didn't want anybody to print my manuscript. But if you do, he says, you play with your life. So the first time they printed the Zera Kodesh, sadly enough, he didn't take it that serious. He printed the book. I don't want to say anything bad, we should all live long and happy. The Yid died. So then someone came to the Holy Sanzer and they said, can we reprint the book? He says, now you can already. Like this Yid, as much as he did wrong, but he broke down the ice. And if anybody can have it, really, everybody should have the Sefer Zera Kodesh. And it's beyond me, but it doesn't matter. It's good to have the Sefer, you know. Let's learn for a few minutes. What? Zera Kodesh. Okay, before we begin this, I have to tell you, begin telling you about the homeopath. A homeopath told me, what is the difference between medicine, healing you with medication, or healing you with homeopathic, whatever it's called, medication or healing? Remedies. So he says, medicine goes from outside to inside, and homeopathy goes from inside to outside. Now listen to this. By the world, I'll ask all the big Rebelach and everyone, what is more holy, your soul or your body? Obviously my neshama is more holy. The Medrash says we should all live long for 200 more years. The person comes up to heaven. So God wants to judge the person. So the body says, listen, without the neshama, I'm dead. Right? You better judge the neshama. I didn't do it. Then God comes to the neshama. The neshama says, me? Listen, look at me the way I was up here in heaven when I was alone. I was okay, right? Because of this disgusting goof. I did everything wrong. I goofed. So, what is God doing? He takes the goof and the neshama together, then he judges them. And the Medrash says that there was a person who was limping, but he had eyes. And then there was a person who could not see, but he could walk. So they do it together. The person who can walk but is blind, he puts the cripple who can see on his shoulders, and the one is seeing, and he tells the blind how to walk. Okay, this is what the Medrash says. So the way the world is learning that the body can walk, but it can't see. How much do you see? The neshama sees everything. So but the neshama can't walk. Because the neshama can't do anything in this world without the goof. So the neshama is the one who sees, and the guf is the one who walks, right? Here comes the Heilige Ishbitzer and turns everything over. He says it's the other way around. The guf cannot walk, the neshama can walk. The neshama has the energy. But the saddest thing is, the neshama cannot see. The neshama can only see as far as doing right. If you don't do right according to neshama, you're lost. The guf can see further. My body has much deeper prophecy. It's unbelievable. My body can see that you can do wrong and you can fix it again. Because tshuva is only in this world. In heaven you don't need tshuva, right? So, you know what it is? You know, we always think first my neshama, my head, should be filled with Torah, and then slowly, slowly, I'm bringing it also into my physical being. Ishbitzer says it's the other way around. First, you got to put it in your guf, and then slowly, 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 the neshama gets it from your guf. Because you see, the depths of the guf is much deeper than the depth of the neshama. Much, much deeper. And here I want you to open your heart the deepest way. You know how deep the Rambam is? How deep is the Torah? But you know something, how deep life is? And you know what the craziest thing in the world is? That the deepest depth of the Torah is when something is wrong with my life. It's when the depths of life and the depth of the Torah meet. So the Heilige Mamish, only Ishbitzer could say something about Torah. What is Pesach all about? Pesach, I'm eating matzah. What's matzah all about? I'm putting the whole Torah, the whole Yiddishkeit into my kishkes. Because matzah is mamish bread from the tree of life. And matzah is beyond, it's a whole Torah. Remember we're learning it before Pesach? Because as the Posuk says, your Torah is in my kishkes. So Pesach, when I eat matzah, I'm putting the whole Torah mamish into me. And then for 49 days, slowly, slowly, I'm bringing it into my head. Every day a little bit. You know what it means? Even my neshama has no vessels to receive what my body knows. Body knows so much. The deepest, deepest depth. So everybody knows Sfiras Ha'omer. You know what we're bringing? We're bringing barley, which is basically food for animals. Sa'ira. Sa'ira is food for animals. Means it's not your head, it's not your neshama. It's the subconsciousness, the unconsciousness, the deepest depth of you. Deepest depth of you. And then on Shavuos, I'm bringing already shtei alechem, I'm bringing bread, which is food for human consumption. That means for 49 days, I'm taking what I know on an animal level, on a non-conscious level, on a superconscious level, on deeper than anything level, and slowly, 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 I'm bringing it into my consciousness. So you see, on Shavuos is mamish peace between my body and my soul. You see, God didn't give me a Torah to tear me apart. God gave me a Torah mamish You see, and God didn't take us up to heaven to give us the Torah. You know, it says, Bo Moshe v'ridin la'oretz. Moshe Rabbeinu came, brought it down to this world. But the most beautiful thing is that in every generation, we have to bring it down again, and deeper, and more down. And you see, there was never a generation where we could bring down the Torah as deep as we can do it today. Because we are more involved in this world than we ever were. And our generation can reach places where my Bob and my Zayda would never go. Anyway, folks, to make a little stop here. What time is it now?
Maybe we should.
We have time?
Break for maybe call it. We started 20 minutes from now. So
No, because I look, everybody's falling asleep.
So I'm saying, I think. but
Let
I
them
said
sleep
it's 1:30.
unconsciously.
Let's,
Okay,
no,
unconsciously.
No.
Okay, good.
I'm
For
saying
my
you can stop for the day. You
No,
know,
no, I have koyach, but it's so everybody like dozing. Okay, let them doze off. Since we're learning about Sfiras Eimer, they don't have to be conscious.
Okay, so let's just go 10 more minutes or something
Good.
And then stop. Yeah?
Yeah. 2 more minutes, Chavit, just, if you can, listen to me while you sleep. It's okay. I want you to know something so deep. We were learning it a lot of times. I think we learned it maybe before, forget already, but maybe not. The Zohar Kodesh says that a child doesn't have the strength to call father and mother until it eats bread, dogan, food. And the same way Yidden, when they eat matzah, Mama they can call father and mother to God. They Keli Van Veil. So this is what it is. Imagine if I would not know who my father and my mother is. Then I go to college, B'ez Hashem, I learn biology, and the doctor and the professor explains to me the procedure, fact of life, and then he says, and now let me introduce to you your producer. The door opens, my father and mother walk in, and we have music. I think here comes the father, here comes the mother, you know. And accompanied by the rabbi of their temple, right? At this very important hour. And they come. How much would they love them? Most probably 90%. Stupid, who are they? Let me ask you, how does a baby know it's my father and my mother? You know it like on the level of Odom Behemoth to Shir Hashem, right? It's unconscious. But Gewalt of this baby knows my father and mother. And you know what the saddest thing in the world is? Later on, when we are learning how children are created, it destroys so much of this deepest love. And hopefully, that this love is so strong, despite I know how I'm created, I still love my parents the most. Despite of it, not because of it. Because the way my body knows this is my father and my mother, this is the deepest connection in the world. So much deeper. Deepest not the word. You want?
What about an adopted child?
So good, so it's also close, you know, I don't know. But the baby feels this person loves me, so they accept it, right? And even if I don't know the answer, but that's what it is, right? Where does it say I have to know the answer, David, right? You know, my Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach would always say, where does it say in the Torah you have to have the answer for every question? He would always hesitate to answer, because he said the question is so good. Why destroy it, you know? It's a good question. But most probably this is one of the miracles of God. One of the miracles. I have to tell you something. One of my best friends adopted a baby. Now he's grown up. And his mother, his adopted mother, kept a diary. And one day, she showed it to me. And this is the beginning. It's unbelievable, she writes, to this baby. She says, one day you'll read this diary, and she writes, I want you to know he adopted you when you were 10 days old. And she writes, you were the cutest baby and everything. She said, I want you to know, all the babies, their mother carries them under her heart. But you, long before I met you, I carried you in my heart. Isn't it beautiful? It's gewalt, Not so simple, right? I want you to know something. I spoke to a lot of people who adopted children. It's not like you see them for the first time. It's just, I don't know if you know them, You know Nachman Futterman, this cutest baby they adopted? Yeah. It's the cutest. You should see the way that this baby that jumps by Omen Yesh Marab is just a few months old. And you think it's a son of a Bezer Rebbe, it's not. It's a cute baby. It's a Spanish baby, and they adopted it, But it's fire. Fire.
I think the Medrash that says that every child has three parents, three partners. I mean, Kadosh Baruch Hu and the father and mother. I think sometimes in adoption that the strength of that particular common partner of Kadosh Baruch Hu is so much stronger that it can, in a sense, transfer over, and it's as real and as strong, whether it's an adopted parent or a biological parent. There's something that's
Yeah, 100% right. You know what it is? We always think parents are just the people who bring you down to this world and then hang yourself. Parents are people who take care of you until you can do it on your own, right? And giving birth to a baby is 9 months, and taking care of a baby is a lifetime. But anyway, Zohar said that all year long until Pesach, the way I know God is like I study biology. I know there's God, He created the world, I'm learning Hasidus, and I'm also went to this intensive Kabbalah weekend, no more about God. This is all nonsense. Pesach, God gives me God knowledge like a baby knows his my father and my mother. You see, all year long, why did I make a golden calf and everything? Because my God knowledge, my Torah knowledge, was like I studied biology. It's blown away with 1/2 a golden calf. And every Pesach, when we fix it, we start all over again, because Pesach is the beginning. Mamish, my God knowledge, the way I know God, the way I know the Torah, is the deepest. Anyway, so on Pesach, which is awesome, and you know something? Why are we so close to our children on Pesach? Because when I am into head knowledge, like I told you, this professor of Columbia told me, I have nothing in common with my son until he has a PhD. Right? Never. Give out. Rachman is on that boy. Never. Sugar of touch. What's his problem? He's not Pesach, right? I want you to know on Seder night, when we are mamish, like actually primitive, right? Mamish, we're going down to the bottom of our unconsciousness. When we're so close to our children, right? I want you to know something awesome. Today psychology knows. You mamish have to kiss your baby all the time. You know, children want so much to be hugged and kissed. And I would say, I'm not into being physical. Hang yourself. That's what your children need. That's what your children need, right? Someone told me the saddest thing in the world. I mentioned it 1,000 times. It's heartbreaking. He says his father never kissed him. This boy told me he never saw his father and mother kissing. He never even seen them holding hands. So how is he going through life now? He's married for the 6th time and still does not do it. Heartbreaking, right? You know, children, sometimes I have the pleasure of seeing so many kids. And let's say I pick up a little boy, I pick up a little boy and a girl, give them a kiss, and the way they're holding on to me, I can smell right away when they were kissed the last time. If they have a normal father and mother, kiss them, put them down, take another little boy and little girl. When they never didn't have a kiss for so long, they're holding on to me with their last strength. Their last strength. I think I shared with you, one boy came up to my house, it was many years ago. He brought something, it was a messenger boy for meal mart, for kosher meat. He brought something for my mother. Cute boy. Mama, she gave him a kiss, like a Shabbos, how you do, how you learn, everything. An hour later, my sister calls me up. And she says, that boy who brought for Boba this for meal mart is the chavrusa of my little nephew. Called him up and he was in tears. He said, I'm 15 years old. My father hasn't kissed me since I'm 8. Why didn't his father kiss him? Because he's so holy. He's giving us forum on Rambams and Gemorahs, You know what bugs me the most? What bugs me the most, that why don't we wake up to it? Why don't we wake up to it? What kind of Yiddishkeit is that? We're making cripples out of our children and then putting it on God. It just can't be, Mamish can't be.
And it doesn't matter what age you are.
Sure, you need it all the time. John Tizmir. You know what it is? Want you to know something awesome? Why is it, we were learning it in a million ways, why is it when I learn Gemara, after that I kiss the book? It's crazy, right? Why don't I kiss a psychology book? You know why? Because my body has nothing to do with it. It's just knowledge in my head. Nothing to do with my skin. The Torah is mamish, the Torah is mamish, the Torah is expanding itself into my nails. And I don't want to learn the Gemara just with my head. I want mamish put my mouth on the Gemara. Mamish, I want to put my mouth on the letters of the Gemara and mamish be connected to it. Remember I told you, the Ishbita Chosid writes, the Heilige Bes Yaakov was learning every night from 12 to 4. He says, but the greatest moment was not the learning. The way the Rebbe kissed the Gemara after we finished learning, this was the deepest learning. I'll tell you something. I remember, the only one who I really saw kissing the Gemara was Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. The other was Shivas. They finished the Shir, they closed the Gemara, they walk out. Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach was always closing the Gemara and then kissing it. Then he would take it under his arm and he would go back to it. Something else. Anyway, I want you to know just something again. The beginning is Pesach. Pesach is when God puts so much holiness into my being in this world, and to my physical being in this world. This world. And you see what it is? This is the deepest depth. You know, brocha, adding to the Torah does not happen in heaven. Torah Shabbat is in this world, right? And when does Torah Shabbat become more when something goes wrong, right? All the Jews, all the Torahs. The Torahs always begin, I have a kasha, I don't know what it means, and then I add, right? All the Meforshim on the Rambam. If the Rambam would be clear, would we know nothing, right? I read the Rambam, and that's it, right? You know something? Imagine there would be the Rambam without the Raavad. Even the Rambam wouldn't be so famous. It's true, you know? The Rambam is so famous because there's a Raavad, right? Someone is against, right? And then you have to mamish understand what the Rambam said, what the Raavad is saying. And it gets deeper, 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 deeper. And this world is so beautiful because it's full of doubts, full of questions, full of breaking downs. And here comes the deepest Torah from Mishpat says. If you would have eaten only from the tree of life, you would have never gotten through it. You would have never gotten to the depth. So the truth is, God wanted it. God really wanted Chava to eat the tree of life, of knowledge. But if God would have told you again to eat from the tree of knowledge, would have been nothing, right? God told you so. So what was the whole trick? God is telling you, and Chava was the deepest, deepest insight, despite that the snake told her, but she didn't do it because of the snake. She knew inside that she has to eat from the tree of knowledge to be thrown out from paradise. This is awesome. So he says, Chava, the word Chava comes from the word Yechavidos. Adam says, Chava showed me something which I would have never gotten on my own. Because Adam, he would have thought, really God wants me to be in paradise forever. Chava understood, it's beautiful here, but this is not what I have to do. This is not what we have to do. I just want to tell you a little Torah left, just like this. Remember Nomi and Tzvi? Tzvi lost his father. So he went to be Menachem over. And suddenly I had a little brainstorm. I said to Torah, that who was the first one to be Menachem over? I told it to you already? Yeah, I did. It's a good Torah. I said, this is an unbelievable story. There's one Chassidish Yid, when the Nazis came out and they said, you have to cut off your beard and payas. Remember, he cut off his beard and payas, and he buried it. And he called a minion, and Gewalt, he said Kaddish after himself. And he said, no, already, that's it. Nobody will say Kaddish after me. So he said Kaddish after himself. So I thought, you know, when Chava ate the tree of knowledge, and suddenly she saw she's dying, and Adam ate also, it's only them, right? So we're half dying. They were dying from eternity, right? So, when they were hiding, they were sitting shiva after themselves. So then they heard God's voice. So Adam says to God, I heard your voice, and it was like little, Ivana got shook up. So I said, why was he shook up? He heard God's voice before. Everybody knows that shofar is God's voice. There's two kinds of shofars. There's the shofar of Matan Torah. Then there's the shofar of Mashiach. When God told him, eat from the tree of life, not of knowledge, this was the level of shofar of Torah. Told him, Divrei Torah, do this and don't do this. Then God came to be Menachem over him to let him know, eventually you'll fix it. It was the shofar from Mashiach. Adam says to God, "Is kolcha shemati b'gam v'ir." Mamish, I heard. And eventually everything will be fixed. Kabbalah said awesome. Kabbalah said awesomely beautiful. You know, like the psalmist says, Gewalt, we have a God in heaven who gives us the privilege to fix everything. It says, Gewalt, you know, Yiddish it says, what kind of a father? Azat Hatte, you know, he gives us a privilege to fix everything. You see what it is? Nodov and Avihu, everybody knows we're fixing the tree of knowledge and tree of life. The Gemara says, Shesuya Yain, they were drinking wine. Obviously they didn't walk in drunk, Chas v'sholom. We're the holiest, we call it Kodesh. Why did they drink wine? Because everybody knows the tree of knowledge was wine, right? Chava ate a grape and he just squeezed out the rest of the grape into his mouth. So they mished Suya Yain, they walked in to fix the tree of knowledge. What was this officially the sin of the tree of knowledge? But Chava did something which God didn't tell her to do, right? She did it on her own. So they walked into the Holy of Holies, Ashaloi Tziva Hashem. Also God didn't tell me. But the tree of knowledge brought me away from God. And they said, Ashaloi Tziva Hashem, God didn't tell me, but I want to be so close to God. The Kavosam Lifnei Hashem. This was the deepest fixing, obviously. And you know what it is, the fixing between parents and children of your Novi? It's not the things you have to do for your children. Ashaloi Tziva Hashem. All those deepest things you don't have to do. But when you do it. Listen, I don't have to kiss my children 48 times a second. I don't have to tell my children every day how beautiful they are. Yeah, you don't have to. But give out. You're not doing Nod of Navias. You don't do what nobody wants you to do, right? But then I said the Gewalt Torah. So why is it really that Aaron Cohen, when he goes into the Holy of Holies, why can't he have wine? Why can't he fix it? So I said, and I quote, I said something like this: there's a Scourge Prince I love the most, right? I'm walking on 5th Avenue and 42nd Street, and suddenly I see Sprinze. There are two reactions. You know, 5th Avenue is beautiful, but you know how beautiful 5th Avenue suddenly looks to me because I met Sprinze. You walk up and down 5th Avenue. It looks so beautiful, right? And the lowest creep looks like mamish, gewalt, right? So this is a very high level, right? So you see what it is, the fixing of the tree of knowledge that take wine, and suddenly everything looks holy. Suddenly everything is the holy of holies. So then there's a deeper level. I meet Sprinzela on 5th Avenue. You know what happens? The whole world stops to exist. There is no more world, just Sprinze and I, right? I cannot say the world looks more beautiful now, because there is no world, right? And you see what it is. Not of an avil fixed, suddenly the world is the holy of holies. Aaron Cohen, they paved the way, but Aaron goes one step further. You see, my relationship to God, the highest I can reach, that because of God, the whole world is beautiful. That's holy. The holy of holiest is that when I'm davening, when I'm thinking of God, nothing else exists. In Elianovi, right? There is a level of making it beautiful for my children, the whole world. But then there's another level. When I talk to my children, the world stops to exist. Shabbos Kityontis. Thank you a million times.